Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at cargo transfers, and because they've just recently added a bunch more logistics items to cargo, I figured it'd be probably a good time to kind of take a look at how to work with the cargo transfer system. So first things first, we have ourselves a single unit port, called it Westport. We have ourselves another single unit port called Eastport, and of course I've got this little silly thing down here that says Port to the East. Now you're sitting there going, well, what's the difference between all these shenanigans and goings-ons? Well, the important thing you have to know here is my port to the east is a complete naval base. As a matter of fact, if you look up at the top, this command knows that it's a naval base and recognizes it's a naval base. That's going to be really, really important in a few minutes, because without this designation, it's not going to work. Now, of course, some of you are like, well, what makes up a naval base? Well, it's pretty straightforward. I have some kind of pier, I have some kind of ammo, I have some kind of fuel. You can make this a lot more complicated if you want, but the key thing is it has to be a naval base. Over here, we have a single unit port. It looks like a naval base, but it doesn't actually recognize it as a naval base. That's an important concept. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to set up some container transfer here. So I'm going to go over to Westport real fast, hit the Edit Cargo button, and we're going to go ahead and add in a bunch of containers here. One of the neat things is now that we have containers, you can play Global Shipping Magnet if you wanted to, and because we have all these classic little options. Now, one of the things we'll probably be seeing soon is we'll start adding like the LD3s and like LD4s, which are the airplane containers, and then we could really play UPS or FedEx or DHL if we wanted to have a very different gaming experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of these things. I'm going to say 100. I know it's not going to let me do that. It's going to give me a few, but it certainly isn't going to give me 100. Now you can see this is about 1,000 square meters worth. Now, some of you are automatically going, oh, wait a minute. If I have a commercial port, I would obviously have a lot more of these than 100. And you're correct. You probably would have a lot more than 100. But keep in mind, this is a single unit port. This is kind of like a self-contained thing. This isn't really designed to be used, finger quotes, as a port. One of the cool hacky things you can do, by the way, if you want to kind of give yourself a little bit more room, which I think is actually kind of fun, if you go to the actual cargo itself by clicking the cargo button, you see how I have all these items here? These items are all kind of like ready to rock and things like that. So because these are all here, you can actually eject them out of the port so that you can make a giant stack of them so you can grab them back for the purposes of a kind of continuing operation. I find that kind of not hacky, but you know what I mean. All right, I'm going to hit F7 now. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my ships real quick. Get load, unload cargo. You got that button in the bottom. Now, let's say I want to add all these TEU, or these aren't TEUs, these are 40-footers. So I'll go ahead and sit in here and do one of these things. Now, as you probably observe, this is going to take a very long time to get through all of these. One of those things I have on my wish list here is for them to allow me to hold down the Shift key and click as many of these as I want. So I can go bang, 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 or to group them. And I'm sure we're going to get that as a feature pretty soon. So I press the OK button. I'm going to go ahead and look away, unpause, pause, hit F7. And you can see it's going to take them about an hour to load that ship up with those 40-footers, which it makes sense. Again, it's going to take a little while. Even with the best gantry cranes and really, really good stevedores, it's going to take time. So let's automate that, because, man, that's too much work for me. So what I'm going to do is come down here to my port to the east. We'll go ahead and press that lovely Control F7. We're going to add ourselves another container vessel this time. Ooh. Apparently I went to boats mode as opposed to ships mode. That is definitely something I would do. Let's see here, right there. We want to take this guy right here, Pier Extra Large. There we are. All right, get me a feeder, Max. That's going to be more than big enough for my purposes here today. Delightful. So we're going to go ahead and click on this guy, and we're going to go ahead and edit the cargo. Ooh, please individual unit, not a group. Do it every time, I swear. All right, extra large pier, edit cargo. We're going to come in here. We'll add some TEUs again. We'll say 20. We'll make it really, really irritating. We'll make them the 20-foot containers, which is kind of the ISO, the standard container, at 100. All right, sweet. That's nothing. More. Let's see. Can I load another? Or are we out of room here? We've got 7,200 meters. That's plenty. Let me add some more, man. Come on, man. Let me do it. Reminds me of my students sometimes. All right, let's see here. 20 feet. We'll add 1,000. That should be annoying. Success. All right, now we've got oodles. And oodles is definitely the word I'll use there. All right, port to the east. So we know that we have a feeder, and we'd like it to go ahead and feed this port up here. Now, watch what happens. So we have our vessel, and I'm going to go ahead and click on my vessel real quickly over here. This is a Westport. I'm going to go ahead and press Control F11. We're going to go ahead and create a mission here. Delivery, exclamation point. I'm going to come down here to cargo, and you're going to notice we have two options now, which I think is pretty slick. We have delivery, which means drop it off on the ground, and we have transfer, which means take it out of this box and put it into this box. I'm going to go ahead and press the transfer button, and we're going to watch what happens. It's going to bring up this handy dandy little piece here. Let me go ahead. That was an earlier test trying to get that to work. And now I have myself delivery cargo. So now we just have to pick what we want to send where. So we got all sorts of different available here. We have this guy. Make sure you pick the one that's at the correct port. That's the wrong one. Come to this guy. Nope. Let's go grab this guy. This is our feeder who's chilling down in this port. This is the one. So I'm going to go ahead and toss him down into here. And now he's ready to go. He's got everything all set. And we have all sorts of good stuff that we're going to be delivering. Obviously, you can sit in here and define it to be a specific time. You can disable it, all those other kind of things. Pop over to mission settings and take a look at this. Now you'll notice all those lovely containers that we were stressing about a little while ago can now be select. One of the coolest things that they added to this little cargo feature up here at the top is it gives us the ability to chuck everything in from all available sources, which is actually pretty slick if that's what you want to do. If you want to transfer an entire base from one place to another, for example. One thing we could do too is we could come down here, we could press the all button. Watch out for the all button though, because all the all button does is grab all of those. So again, we run into an interesting situation where all I have to do is press move all, and it grabs everything. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take a look here, return to base on completion. We don't have to do this. Vehicles and cargo may self-transfer. This is a neat little feature where it allows amphibious vehicles to just drive right off the ramp into the water and kind of do it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do flank, because why not? And now ahead and close this. I'm going to press the space bar. So now what's going to happen is my buddy here in this commercial container vessel feeder is going to start filling itself up with all the nice yummy cargo that's located at my port to the east. Hit the F7 key, and you can see it's going to take them about an hour and 7 minutes. But don't worry about that. Told you not to worry about that. So unfortunately, when I set up my brilliant little port scheme here, I forgot the fact that in the Bahamas, the water's a little shallow. So I'm going to go give this guy a little bit of a push here to help him out. There you go. Is that a little better for you? Yeah, he's doing all his calculations and I'm trying to figure out the best way to get to his destination. I got you, buddy. Don't worry. Like I said, the water here is fantastically shallow. So until you get off this little trench here, you have to kind of do it. So now this vessel right now is actually done everything we asked him to do automatically. If I press the cargo button now, you'll actually see that he's carrying all these ISO containers. Of course, if I go back to West Point here, we've got these two guys chilling and being ready to rock. One thing you got to watch out for, though, is remember this port is loaded. So what I'm actually going to do is empty that port out real quick, because otherwise you're going to create a rather interesting situation where our ship buddy can't do anything about it. I can actually delete that, and now he's going to go back to automatic. So here's our very, very heavily laden ship. It tells us that he's 3 hours underway. Again, relatively short mission. He's making his way there. He's got all his happy cargo on board. Everything's looking good. And then disaster strikes. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a little enemy aircraft to do a little bit of damage here. We don't need to sink the darn thing, but we just want to demonstrate kind of the consequences of some of this here. Let's see, J6A, I think that will do it. 90mm rockets. I don't want to sink the thing. Let's grab this guy real fast. All right, come down to minimum altitude real quick, will you? All right, it's a ship. It shouldn't be hard to find. It's right there, man. It's right there. There it is. I'll go ahead and delete that real quick. Go ahead and pause. It would be a shame if somebody in a MiG-19 came out of nowhere and decided to just sort of strafe the ship. I hate when this happens. I'll go ahead and improve this guy's skill just a little bit here. Unit proficiency, we're going to go ahead and allow him to go ahead and use his strafing, because we want him to basically unload everything onto my poor little ship here. Let's see here. Standoff, AG. That's the one I wanted. Cool. Getting a little closer, getting a fix. I love the ambiguity you get now when you do these attacks. Like, it's very, very difficult to pick the exact point where to hit him. Of course, this poor guy in his little ship here is just sort of chilling. He doesn't even see him. Maybe if I turn on his little navigation radar or something like that, we'll be able to see it. I don't think so. I'd be impressed if he could, but unfortunately, it looks like this MiG-19. There he is. I would suggest doing evasive maneuvers as fast as you can, because this guy's going to do one heck. Oh, here they come. Here they come. Oh no, my TEUs. Oh, wow, we're flooding. We might sink. That was the most lethal attack I think I've ever seen there. So I'm actually going to go to damage control, and I'm going to remove the flooding because I almost lost my vessel here. Are you okay? You okay? Are you okay? Yeah, get yourself back up to speed and get the heck out of there. Pfft. You got to watch out for those rogue J6s that are just sort of like chilling. They just come out of nowhere in the Bahamas. The pirates are getting much more sophisticated these days. So now that has been struck, one thing you're probably asking is, what happened to all the wonderful cargo on board? I mean, usually that's going to be stored up in the top. Well, if we head up to a game here real quickly and hit up our losses and expenditures, one of the things you're going to notice here is that there were no losses or anything lost in this particular case. So our nice, beautiful cargo is actually stored in a big, big, big bunker underneath. underneath this deck of the ship because it's only a little bit of it, so we took no damage in that regard. So one of the things I could see changing in the future is where you could actually lose cargo when you're struck like that. Naturally, if our ship sunk, we would have lost everything on board. So let's go ahead and speed up and kind of conclude our conclusion here. That poor MiG-19 is going to run out of fuel and go swimming. Serves him right for attacking an unarmed cargo vessel. All right, rolling into port here real fast. We have plenty of room in port for him. All right, now sneaking in, you can slow way down, and he's now inside. So now that we're inside of that lovely port, we can go back to edit cargo, and you can see what will happen with time is he'll actually commence the unloading process. If I actually hit F7, you can see he's doing his delivery, and it takes him about 15 minutes to get docked up. That's about 15 minutes to get docked up. Hit F7, and you can see he's repairing, and there's also some readying going on here on account of the fact that, again, we're trying to get all that stuff on here. And of course, because we've done all this lovely work here, there's our cargo, all ready to be all transferred and everything along those lines. One thing to warn you, however, if you remember a little while ago, I have it set for him to return back to base after he's finished his mission. So as soon as he's done those repairs from that pesky J6, he's going to be heading right back to do this again in the event that he was not successful at it. So as you can see, this is a super duper handy function. One thing you got to remember is that you have enough space at the Targo. The other thing you make sure that you want to have is you have enough room in the ports so that when you arrive, it actually is able to dock properly, drop everything off properly without getting itself in a nasty loop. Other than that, enjoy.